Misfits, people ask me all the time about tools that I use in my life and business to maximize my success. I usually start by telling them one of my most powerful tools is my morning habits. And of course, they look at me somewhat confused. I then explain how important it is for me to center myself and how I begin my day and plan for my success. It's critical to consistent high performance. And it doesn't take me long, about 5 or 10 minutes, because I use a great resource called the 5-Minute Journal. The 5-Minute Journal is the simplest, most effective way I've ever found to start your day in the right mindset, doing the right things, and set yourself up for success. And it is exactly what it says, a 5-minute exercise you can do each day. Let me ask you, if you could reach your next level in your life and business by spending just 5 minutes of focused time a day, would you do it? I bet you would. And I know it works because I've experienced the power of it. And you can get your 5-Minute Journal simply by going to www.misfitentrepreneur.com/journal. That's misfitentrepreneur.com/journal. Do what I do. Use this amazing resource to give yourself an edge in your performance and your success. Get your 5-Minute Journal today. Welcome to another edition of Lessons for Hannah. In November of 2016, we introduced a new format that we're putting alongside our regular episodes called Lessons for Hannah. Hannah is my daughter and one of the main inspirations for the Misfit Entrepreneur. I wanted to have a place where she could go and learn from her daddy and his misfit friends throughout her life, even after I'm gone. If you haven't listened to the first episode of Lessons for Hannah, I urge you to, as it gives some more background and tells the amazing story of how Hannah came to be in our lives. Lessons for Hannah are short, very useful, and sometimes comical lessons that I have learned, which I want to share with you and give to Hannah to help you in your lives. Because I want Hannah to have these for her life, I'm going to speak as though I'm talking directly to her. These episodes are a lot of fun, and if you think there is a lesson that we should include in these episodes in the future, please don't hesitate to send it over to us at support@misfitentrepreneur.com. We'd love to share it. Okay, so here goes. This week's lesson for Hannah. Hannah, I want to share with you an abbreviated version of a talk that I've been doing called The 5 Principles to Thrive, Succeed, and Live Your Best Life. It is resonating greatly right now during the pandemic, but the principles are timeless. I want to start by asking you and anyone listening a question, and that is, do you know what your chances of being alive are? Let me explain this. The chances of you being alive are the same as if 2.5 million people got together, roughly the population of a city the size of Chicago or San Diego, to play a game of dice, and each person had a trillion-sided dice, and they all rolled that dice at the same time and came up with exactly the same number. I want to let that sink in for a second. And to put it numerically, your chances of being born are 1 in 4 trillion. There's no way around it. You are a miracle. And I share this for perspective. No matter what your circumstances, no matter who you are, no matter where you are in your life right now, you are a miracle. The fact that you're here means that trillions of others that could have been will never exist. Literally, one step in the wrong direction on a battlefield in history and you don't exist. One rock in space hits another a different way and someone else is in your place. You are one of the greatest miracles ever created. So cherish this fact. And that brings me to principle number 1. Keep perspective. You must keep perspective in your life. No matter what is happening, good or bad, right or wrong, you will do well to keep yourself grounded and maintain perspective. Having good perspective will not only help you to think better and make better decisions, but it will also give you the ability to find happiness at any point in your life. There are always things to be grateful for and to live for and into in our lives. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have tough times in our lives. We all do. But right now, the whole world is turned upside down and will be potentially changed forever, creating some very challenging times. But when these times come, it is very important for all of us to control what can be controlled and let the rest go. Above all else, there's one thing that we can control that makes the most difference in our lives, and that is our mindset and our conditioning. You see, we have 2 minds. We have a conscious mind that we are aware of. It's the mind that you use when you think to do something, right? But we have another much more powerful mind, the subconscious mind. And this is the part of our brain that really runs us without us even knowing it. And I want you to think about it. How much do you think to throw a ball or drive a car or brush your teeth? You don't. You just do it. And the subconscious is the most powerful part of our mind, and the conditioning that it has received determines much of our thinking, decisions, and how we operate in life. Have you ever asked yourself or wondered, where do my thoughts come from? Or maybe ever made a decision where you said afterward, why did I do that? You did it because it was the automatic response that your subconscious was conditioned to. And as powerful as it is actually not that smart, in that it doesn't decide if the conditioning that it has received is truly the best thing for you or not. It just follows the programming. And that is why a person's mind can actually be their biggest obstacle to success, because whatever your subconscious is programmed to is where you end up. And the key is to understand this and use this awareness to stop debilitating conditioning and reprogram your mind with the way you want to think and the thoughts that you want to have. And this is principle number 2. Learn to control your mindset and your conditioning. Principle number 3 is short and quick. You must balance faith and optimism. The best example of this is the story that I've shared before about Vice Admiral James Stockdale, who was a POW in Vietnam for about 7 years in the brutal Hanoi Hilton. I urge you to go read this story and his interview by Jim Collins. Essentially, the biggest lesson that he shared is that you must never confuse faith that you'll prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they may be. You see, you must always balance faith and optimism and come to grips with reality. If you develop the ability to do this, you can make it through anything. Remember, as I started with, you are a miracle, and you're here because you were destined to be here. Things are happening as they are supposed to, and you get to choose how you respond and react to them. And that brings me to principle number 4, which you taught me, Hannah. Our journey to become a family is filled with twists, turns, and so many miracles. In fact, you can go listen to the first Lessons for Hannah for the full story. But it came down to just a few things. One small choice, one tiny checkbox made the difference for us to find you. The adoption agency at the time only worked with one orphanage directly in all of China, and no one in the world knew about you but us because of checking that one box and the agency working with that one orphanage where you were. Third, you were misdiagnosed and should have been considered a healthy child, which means we would have never known about you, as it was a different program than we were in for our China adoption program. And so here's what I learned from our journey. Everything that happened to the point where we became a family had to happen exactly as it did, good and bad. And it taught me to have no regrets. I'll let that sink in. It taught me to have no regrets. I want to explain more about that in a second. Aside from the chances of you being alive, everything that had to happen to anybody listening to get you to this point right now where I'm speaking to you and you're getting this message had to happen exactly as it did. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't change any of it. That doesn't mean that I don't learn from it, and given the chance to do things again wouldn't apply what I've learned, right? I've made many, many, many mistakes in my life, and I will continue to make more and more. But I'm not going to dwell on it and regret it and worry about it and let it, really bring my life down. I'm going to learn for it and make a difference for myself. And that brings me to principle number 4. It's really just a couple of principles in one, but they fit together. Everything is a choice. So choose wisely. Don't let yourself be saddled by regret from your choices. Learn from them and become better. And when you do that, when you combine everything that I've shared in this short episode so far, keeping a good perspective and staying grounded, learning to control your mind and conditioning to use it to help you become the best version of yourself and live into your potential, having faith that you'll make it, but not discounting the reality that is before you, and understanding that everything in your life is a choice that you make, and that those choices have gotten you to where you are and are the experiences you can draw on to make yourself better, not letting your past determine your future. When you put all of this to work for yourself, you will find yourself practicing principle number 5. You will become the best version of yourself. A constant work in progress, no doubt, but a light to those around you and someone they can count on to guide the way and prevail no matter what happens. You will be able to give to this world and those around you in ways you never dreamed of and make a much bigger impact than you ever thought was possible. You will be able to thrive, succeed, and live your best life. Principle number 5 is to be the light that you are meant to be in this world. You have so much more in you than you know. Live into it. And I'll leave you with this quote from the great Jim Rohn. The big challenge is to become all that you have the possibility of becoming. You cannot believe what it does to the human spirit to maximize your human potential and stretch yourself to the limit. Hannah, and anyone listening, I challenge you to use these 5 principles to maximize your potential and stretch yourself to the limit. I love you, Daddy.
Thank you, everyone, for attending this episode of The Misfit Entrepreneur. We look forward to seeing you in further episodes. If you haven't done so, make sure you definitely check out the Misfit Minute. You can access it right from our site. Every Friday, you get some of the best tips and tricks from some of the top Misfit entrepreneurs out there doing their thing. We look forward to seeing you in next week's edition. And in the meantime, have some fun.